Tale of the Brave is the Thomas and Friends movie, released in the year 2014. The movie was written by Andrew Brenner and focuses on the show's three main characters exploring their friendship together. The film is generally considered to be a decent Thomas movie amongst the fandom, however, is often forgot about when put up against the likes of Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure or Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Today, I want to bring this forgotten gem back into the public eye and discuss how Tale of the Brave uses its characters to tell a compelling story. Point 1. No main character. Tale of the Brave is unique in that it has no main character, unlike other Thomas specials. Our time is equally divided between all three characters, so we root for them in some scenes and resent them in others. The culmination of all these factors creates a satisfying narrative that concludes in the finale. In this story, Thomas, Percy and James both played the hero and the villain roles. James was wrong for trying to get his own back and scaring Percy, Thomas was wrong for not trusting or really listening to Percy's concerns, and Percy was wrong for ditching Thomas that quickly and not allowing him to explain himself. No character is a flawless protagonist. Every action they make impacts the plot, which all comes to a boiling point just before the finale when Percy is about to leave Sodor. This is a moral that is more relevant than ever nowadays, as the film teaches us as the audience that our actions have consequences. Whatever we say and do will affect a person, whether it be positively or negatively. It's sort of a more family-friendly version of An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley, in which, similar to Tale of the Brave, has no single main character and teaches us that we should be careful about the way that we treat others, as every action has a consequence. James scaring Percy to make himself look better made Percy upset and want to run away already, but his best friend turning his back on him and refusing to listen was the final push. Percy is truly an Eva Smith type of character. That's one of the characters in Inspector Calls, if you didn't know. In the fact he could have gone over the edge and done something big just because of the way people have treated him. Another benefit of not having a main character in Tale of the Brave is that all three of our protagonists learn a valuable lesson. Percy learns that he shouldn't be afraid of everything, Thomas learns to trust in his friends, and James learns to take responsibility for his actions. All of this character development stays throughout the run of the Brenner era, with Percy's also being followed upon in its own episode. The impact of this is that the audience doesn't feel like they've wasted an hour of their life watching this movie, as the characters don't revert back to their old selves until the 2018 reboot, Big World, Big Adventures. Point 2. Percy and Gator's relationship. One interesting and new dynamic that we see in Tale of the Brave is the relationship between Percy and Gator. When we first meet Gator, we see Percy is afraid of him, thinking he is a monster. However, as the film progresses, we see Percy and Gator's friendship blossom. The audience finds out that Gator is a mentor figure to Percy. Now, Percy having a mentor figure is nothing new. We've seen it in the past with engines such as Gordon, Toby and Stephen. However, what makes this pairing different to the other times we've seen it happen is its direct rivalry to Thomas and Percy's friendship. We know from many episodes before that Thomas and Percy share everything with each other. However, here they don't. Percy directly shares his fears with Gator and asks for advice before Thomas and Percy even fall out. It just makes the scene where Percy ignores Thomas all that more heart-wrenching. Later, we discover Percy doesn't want anything to do with Thomas since they are no longer best friends. Percy even attempts to leave Sodor in order to be with Gator, who is his new best friend. It is only when Gator advises him to stay, he comes to his senses. Thomas has very clearly been replaced. Percy, listening to every piece of advice that Gator gives him, also calls back to this line of dialogue that he says in Knapford Station.
I thought at least you were my friend.
But I am your friend, Percy.
No, you're not. Friends believe each other.
This shows that Percy has started to notice cracks in his and Thomas's relationship that aren't right. After talking and receiving advice from Gator, he now feels empowered and is able to stand up for himself. This is something we haven't seen Percy do in the CGI series before, so it's a shock to us as the audience when he does. Percy even says,
"Maybe I should go to a faraway land and make new friends."
This further emphasises my point about Percy seeing the cracks in his and Thomas's friendship. It also shows the point that Thomas has been replaced by Gator. At the end of the scene, Thomas is the one asking Percy to listen. This shows the tables have turned and Thomas is now in Percy's shoes. Point 3. The Tidmouth Shed scene. One of my favourite scenes in this movie is the scene where Percy runs back to Tidmouth Sheds after being frightened by James's pretend monster. While at first, this scene may seem like a filler scene to pad out the runtime with the engines teasing Percy, however, I see it as much more. First, we see Percy speeding into Tidmouth Sheds. This itself means something, as it shows Percy went to Tidmouth Sheds first when he was scared. This shows that he knows the engines are his friends. We hear Thomas is concerned as Percy truly looks shaken up. James, of course, starts the teasing, which is part of his whole arc in this movie. We see all of the other engines follow James's suit, except for Thomas and Emily. Here we see Emily presented as a mother figure to all of the engines. We see her both comforting Percy and telling off the other engines for teasing him. Thomas, on the other hand, we see is very confused. He wants to stick up for his friend, but fears being judged by the other engines. We see he's matured since his younger days, as way back many seasons ago he would have joined in making fun of Percy. However, we see him conflicted, choosing between his reputation or his best friend. He looks around before he decides to tell Percy that he doesn't know what he saw at the clay pits and what maybe Percy saw wasn't a monster. This is just a defining moment for Percy in this movie. We see he's been betrayed by some of the people he's supposed to trust the most and have turned their backs on him. It makes us feel for Percy and understand him more for wanting to leave Sodor later on in the film. In conclusion, Tale of the Brave is a very unique Thomas and Friends film in the fact that it doesn't rely too heavily on crazy stunts, and if they do, they actually serve a purpose to the characters or story. For example, the climactic chase at the clay pits towards the end of the film shows Percy's bravery and his character progression throughout the movie. Especially in the CGI era, it's a very rare opportunity that we see a story told purely by characters and not just goofy, happy-go-lucky events. And with that, this is the Sudrian Studios signing off.